Hi, good morning. Are we on? Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Shalni, and I'm a storyteller and an English tutor, and I'm back for the second time to tell a story today. Now, I was supposed to tell another story, but today because of the things that, the events of this morning, and so many little things, I've decided to change my story. But before that, I would like to thank Moses and Shichin and everyone at Silvergood for this wonderful opportunity to share stories with you. Now, what happened this morning was, I don't know, it was just something that from people around me and all the things that I guess with with the COVID situation and just relations with people. And so today I've decided to tell you the story of the slave and the lion. Now, I'm sure some of us are familiar with it, and the story goes like this. Now, once there was a slave. Now, this slave belonged to a really ruthless, despotic king. The king was such a horrible man. He would treat his slaves so badly, hardly any food. They were beaten at the smallest excuse. And the slave one day had no choice. He felt he couldn't do anything but run away. It was either that or take his life. And he was this close to it. But he said he would try to run away. Anything would be better than this. And so he ran and he ran. And he ran all day and all evening. And in the night, he reached the jungles and it started to rain. And he started to look for a place to hide because he needed to get away. He was so afraid that the king's soldiers would be right behind him. And so he entered the cave. Now, when he entered the cave, he was so grateful that it was very dry. It wasn't very warm, but it was dry. And he was like feeling very safe for the first time in a long time. And he was just about to relax when behind him he heard roar. Oh no, roar! Got louder. And he was thinking, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? Oh, uh, is it what I think it is? And he turned, and and it was very dark in there, but his eyes adjusted, and he could make out a shadow. And out of the shadows came this creature that looked out and looked at him and went roar. Now that last roar didn't sound like like a ferocious one. It seemed to him like something else, and something in him made him go closer. And he went closer, very slowly, very carefully, went closer, and he saw it was a lion indeed. And the lion was looking him in the eye. And he was afraid to make any false moves, but he moved closer and closer still and closer. And when he got closer, he felt a little bolder because the lion didn't seem to want to attack him, didn't pounce on him right away and try to eat him. And so he reached out and he touched. He saw in front of him the lion's paw. And in that paw, there was a big, huge thorn right stuck in deep. And at that moment, he felt so sorry for that lion. He put himself in that lion's shoes, I guess, because he in some ways could feel the lion's pain. And so, very slowly, speaking very calmly and reassuringly all the time, he reached for that thorn. At first, the lion was very upset. He wanted to roar, but he spoke very gently and said, "It's all right. I know you're hurting. It'll be all right. Just let me get that out. I understand your pain. Let me get that out." And slowly and very carefully and very gingerly, he lifted the thorn It was a very big thorn, so it took some doing. Very carefully out of the lion's paw. Pulled a little bit. The lion stiffened. And he said, "It's okay." Pulled again. Pulled slowly from the bottom. Pulled it up. Pulled it up. And finally, it was out. Oh, it was huge. He saw that. And he threw it away. And he said, "Now you're well again." And the lion, for the first time, seemed to relax and just went to sleep. And the slave went to sleep too. And the next morning, he left the cave before the lion woke up and went tried to run away again. But unfortunately, his luck didn't last. The soldiers had caught up with him and they got him and they dragged him back to the king. When the king saw him, he was furious. He was livid. He's like, "How dare you, slave, run away from me, the king? Oh, I will teach you a lesson. Just you wait." And he was thrown into the dungeons. And he wondered what was going to be his fate. He thought maybe he would be starved to death, or maybe the king would bring him in his personal under his personal service and make him clean and sew and cook until he fell down dead. All sorts of thoughts went through his head. Maybe he would be dragged through the city as in to show everyone, as an example of what happened when you disobeyed the king or when you ran away. He thought about all these things. And a few days later, he found out. Early one morning, the king's soldiers came and dragged him out of his cell and brought him into the big arena where the king always held fights, either animals fighting each other or two men wrestling each other, and it was always to the death. And that was when he realized nothing he had thought of even came close to what he was going to suffer right there and then. And he closed his eyes and said a little prayer. "Oh, I hope this will be over as soon as it begins." And he stood there, waiting and waiting for his fate. And there was the king in the stands laughing. And there were the people of the city gathered to watch his public death. As he waited and waited, he saw that there was a gate that was about to open on a dungeon, on a cage, and it opened, and he saw a lion. And that lion, when he saw the gate open, he rushed out, roaring at everyone, roaring at people, so afraid, so angry, roaring. He was hungry for days, it seemed. He roared and he roared and he rushed right towards the slave. And the audience the spectators held their breath, deep intake. And the king leaned forward in his seat to watch how that lion was going to kill that slave and eat him up right in front of him. But when the lion came close to the slave, he stopped. He looked at the slave and he sat down as gentle as a pussycat. In fact, he began to lick the slave's hand. When the slave saw that, he was amazed. He was like, "Oh, what's this?" But when he looked at the lion, he looked down at the paw and he saw, "Ooh, this is the very same lion that I helped the other day." Wow! Everybody in the audience, all the spectators in the hall were amazed too. They just watched and they didn't know what to say. The king was beyond words. At first he was so angry. "Guards, what kind of lion is this? What have you brought to me? What is he doing?" But then he decided to get the story from the slave. He said, "Get that slave to me now." And the slave was brought forward to the king and said, "What is this? Do you have some special magic? Do you speak to lions? What is this?" And the slave quietly told the king his story. With every word, the King's jaw just dropped. It was like he didn't know whether to believe the story. But having seen the scene in front of him, there could really be no other explanation. And it came to him that an animal as ferocious as the lion had responded to the small gesture of kindness from the slave. The slave had just helped him with that little thorn, and the lion was eternally grateful. And it seemed to him that perhaps there was something in there for him too, because he knew he wasn't very well liked. He knew that he had enemies, and perhaps there was something there that he could learn from the slave and indeed from the lion. And he looked at the slave and said, "Slave, today you have taught me something that even my wisest advisors may not have been able to give me. I let you free. Be a free man and go." And so the slave did. And ladies and gentlemen, from that story um, is a little thing about kindness. I guess that's what I felt a lot of today. And that's something that I'd like to share with everyone today. And I hope that in these times, in these trying times, we will look for opportunities to share it with our friends and families, and even with our neighbors, and also maybe with strangers too, when we can. Thank you very much for today. I appreciate it. And take care, stay safe, and be healthy. Thank you, everyone. See you. Bye.